Here's what's coming up on the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan.
The problem is that portfolio, if made up of mutual funds, it could still have a lot of risk. They might have 30 or 40 or 50% risk the next time we have a market crash. They could be paying 3% or more in total fees. They can't really take a high level of income off of that that's going to be guaranteed to last for as long as they live. So it's really not beautiful in reality, but it does look really pretty on your paper.
Now, you need to understand the risk you have in your portfolio. You need to understand how much you could lose in the next market crash. And without understanding that and without having a firm grip on that, you are running through retirement or towards retirement right now with a lot of risk in your basket.
That's right. Because the advisor thinks a 39.9% risk level is acceptable, and it is moderate or conservative. We don't think that's moderate or conservative. Neither would a client like these. They think something in the neighborhood of 5 to 10% risk is typically the max amount of risk they want to take.
Right.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hey, thanks for tuning in this week.
We got 30 minutes of great information just for you.
Don't go anywhere. The show starts right now.
Jim, I'm so excited about this week's We Fix Your Money segment. This is a great opportunity for us to really dive kind of deep into what we do to help our clients attain their financial freedom. That's the whole goal. And in this case, we're going to call these people Dale and Carrie, and it just represents what a typical type of client we work with would look like. A lot of you people recognize yourself in a lot of the things we're going to talk about, so we think it'll be easier to learn that way. And when you look at Dale, he's age 64, Carrie, she's 71 in this example, both retired. They both have some pensions and some Social Security, so they're doing well that way. Dale has a VA, Veterans Administration pension. They have about $3.1 million of portfolio assets, and they got about $50,000 in the bank. But like most people, they got a lot of worries. They want to create $100,000 of income from their asset portfolio, and they're really afraid to do that. They're worried about the income taxes they're going to end up paying on that large amount of income. They're definitely worried about risk. These people lost over 50% in 2008. And they're thinking, what if we lost 50% of our $3 million? It would kill them. They're worried about their money running out since they want to take out so much income from their portfolio. They're not doing the things they want to do right now, and that really worries them that they're going to have regrets at some point in their life. He's had some heart issues, so he had an operation. He's okay now, but that even makes doing all those things right now even more important for them. They have 2 kids and some grandkids, and they want to make sure their kids can get some money and their grandkids' education is taken care of. They've had their broker recently modify their portfolio supposedly to reduce risk, which is what we always hear. And they thought they're paying about 1% in fees. We're going to do ultimately a fee analysis for them. They never had a written plan, and they want one. So the first step we're going to take then is help them stop worrying about big losses on a daily basis.
And I think, Dan, everybody listening to our show right now worries about the same thing. The market's at an all-time high, and it will reset at one day. People don't want to get caught unguarded. So we do a full risk analysis for the client. In our example, what we do is that we take their current portfolio, we use an outside third-party risk resource to do this for us, and it projected in the analysis that they have a 39.9% risk factor. Remember, you had mentioned they lost 50% in '08. They were positioned to maybe lose up to 40% if we have another market crash similar.
Well, and they just had their portfolio supposedly rebalanced to a lower risk by their advisor, and they still had 39.9%
That's
risk.
exactly right, which would mean, in this example, they'd lose potentially $1.2 million of their assets, which would be devastating. And more importantly, they need a 66% rate of return just to get back to even, which is very, very difficult to do.
And that's assuming they're not taking any income out of their assets and not paying any fees.
That's right, exactly. So after we remodeled their portfolio and reconstructed the entire asset base, we lowered their risk from approximately 39% down to about 8%. And rather than losing potentially $1.2 million, they would lose more along the lines of, they They would lose more along the lines of about $216,000. And what's really important, we didn't need a 66% rate of return to get back to even. We only need about a 9% rate of return in our example to get back to even. So these clients were elated, number one, that they understood the true risk they had in their portfolio, and number two, that we could rebalance that portfolio and lessen the risk for them. Now, we didn't get rid of the risk at all, right? Because they still own securities, but we were able to lower the potential losses inside the portfolio.
Well, it was down to their risk level, not their advisor's risk level.
That's right.
Because the advisor thinks a 39.9% risk level is acceptable, and it is moderate or conservative. We don't think that's moderate conservative. Neither would a client like these. They think something in the neighborhood of 5 to 10% risk is typically the max amount of risk they want to take.
Right.
After we go through a full risk analysis, we then have to look at how are they going to use their money, because their first goal was to make sure we don't have a lot of risk. Their second is we got to generate $100,000 of income from their portfolio so they can live the life they wanted to. And we then are going to put together a complete retirement income analysis. And we know it can seem complicated, but it's very easy. We're going to summarize everything on one page. Imagine everything about your money on one page. We're going to show you every income source you have and how long that's going to last. We're going to project it for 30 years. We're going to show you each asset source we're going to use for income and take the income out of that and project that for 30 years. Then we're going to show you your total income. So in this case, in the top box that's circled in red, the year 2017, we're going to bring in $196,000 of gross income for them every single year, which is going to equate to close to $14,000 a year of net income, which allows them to have about $3,000 more than they need to spend. Why is that important?
Well, if you're generating more income than they need, that's called excess cash flow, right, on an after-tax basis. If you have extra cash flow or excess cash flow, what can you do with that? Well, you can spend it, right? You can save it. You can help your grandkids out. You might want to buy a car for cash in 2 or 3 years. You now have money that you can accumulate for that. So people out there, they want more than just their budget items. And the only way to do this is to put together a simple format that clients understand that delineates every single asset class, the income sources, and divide these assets in a fashion that lowers their risk overall. And by doing that, clients feel really, really comfortable.
Well, and most important, it's the first time you will actually understand your money, because you'll see what your money is going to do for you for the rest of your life. Not how it's going to be invested, but what your money is going to do for you for the rest of your life. So if you have these same types of questions that Dale and Carrie would have, you need some help, feel free. Call our office. We'll be glad to sit down with you and see if we can possibly construct this type of plan for you. It's easy, it's simple, and it'll be painless.
And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hi, I'm Dan Ahmed. My partner Jim Files and I are co-founders of Peak Financial Freedom Group. We are proud sponsors of the show. As investment advisor representatives of our own RIA, we are legally bound by a fiduciary duty to our advisory clients. Specifically, we owe our advisory clients an affirmative duty of utmost good faith, requiring us to provide full disclosure of all material facts and obligating us to employ reasonable care to avoid anything misleading. We design customized written retirement income plans for retirees and soon-to-be retirees. If you've saved a lot of money for retirement and don't want to lose it, don't want it to run out, and don't want to make a mistake with it, stay tuned. You're going to love the show. We want to help you protect your assets against large stock market losses, earn competitive returns without taking excessive risk, and create dependable monthly income that will last for as long as you live. Our goal is to help you stop worrying about your money so much by building you a customized written retirement income plan. We put everything in writing. And here's the best news. We will not charge you for your plan. You will never feel any obligation or pressure to work with us. It's always your choice. But if you do decide to become our client and you're looking for some growth without taking excessive risk, we get paid advisory fees on the money we invest for you. If on some of your funds you're looking for protection against stock market losses and need dependable lifetime income, and we use an annuity as part of your plan, we are paid commissions. That's why we don't have to charge you additional planning fees to create your customized, comprehensive written retirement income plan. Before you invest any money with us, we will tell you all the fees you will pay in writing. We believe in transparency. And after we build your plan, you won't worry about your money so much. Sit back and enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hi, and welcome to this week's AskPeakNow.com. Were you the Sacramento area? Email your questions into us. We answer them right here on the show. Gentlemen, we have some great questions from the community. Dan, I'm going to begin with you. This is Bob from Folsom, and he writes, I'm retired and have two good friends, Ben and Warren, who I talk to about money. I have about $2.5 million in my portfolio, and they both have about around $3 million. Ben is aggressive with his money, and Warren is much more conservative, like me and my wife. We are considering doing a plan like Warren, who has a fixed indexed annuity. I'm a little apprehensive about losing some control of my money. Do you find many people wishing that they could have more control of their money after getting an annuity?
Bob, that's a great question. I'm glad you're so close in Folsom. Our office is right there in Roseville on Professional Drive. So you're really close to us. And what you ask is what a lot of people are asking right now about annuities, because you've heard some things, good and bad, about annuities. And probably a lot of the good is true and probably a lot of the bad is true. When you look at what you're asking about, which is the liquidity question, most people are so afraid to give their money to an insurance company to buy an annuity simply because they know they have to leave it there for a certain amount of time. But it doesn't mean you have to leave the income there for a certain amount of time. There's many plans out there that you can put your money in today and start receiving income within 30 days. That doesn't sound locked up to me as far as the income goes. You will have to commit to a certain amount of time period that you don't take all your money out in a lump sum, but that's just like a CD. And let's say a lot of your $2.5 million is in an IRA. Would you really ever take a lump sum out anyway and pay a huge amount of tax? Probably not. So what we do is we actually have a liquidity test and a liquidity analysis that we'll do for you. We'll show you what will happen if you have your money in a fixed indexed annuity, and whether you earn 0 or whether you earn 2 or 3 or 4%, some type of modest rate of return, and you're taking income out, net of your surrender charge, how much you can actually get your hands on, because annuities are actually completely liquid, net of any fees that you have to pay to take the money out, just like a CD. So I wouldn't worry about it as long as we don't put all the money in there. You keep some money liquid in the bank, you keep some money liquid in the stock market. As long as we have risk mitigation, maybe some stop losses, then we can put a big chunk of money into a fixed index annuity without you worrying about having to use that in a lump sum for liquidity. So thanks a lot for that question.
Dan, thank you. Jim, my next question is for you. It's from Sue in Lincoln, and she writes, my husband and I retired and moved to Lincoln from San Francisco 2 years ago. We absolutely love it here. We've been working with the same advisor for years, but we think it might be a good time to get a second opinion from somebody in the Sacramento area. We are mainly concerned with reducing our risk and protecting our assets. Do you do that?
Well, Sue, thank you for that question. And by the way, we have two things in common. Number one, I grew up in Lincoln, so I have great fond memories. And number two, I did a significant amount of work in the Bay Area. And yes, your question is very prudent at this time. You're probably tired of going back and forth between Lincoln and the Bay Area, meeting with your advisor. And it's always nice to have somebody local, but you haven't been able to find somebody at this point. What you need to do, and is exactly what you're concerned about right now, is you need to understand the risk you have in your portfolio. You need to understand how much you could lose in the next market crash. And without understanding that, and without having a firm grip on that, you are running through retirement or towards retirement right now with a lot of risk in your basket. So you have to make sure that you understand how much you could possibly lose. And then what you need to do is put together a full plan, a comprehensive income plan, tax plan, and beneficiary plan, so you and your husband know how you're going to navigate between now and when you retire, and then after you retire, so that you understand where your income's going to come from, and most importantly, understand that your income will not run out. Because once you understand those ingredients, you're going to feel much better about your life. So thank you, Sue, for calling in. We really appreciate that question.
Jim, thanks so much. Dan, my last question for you, and it's from Jocelyn in Fair Oaks, and she writes, I'm 64 and would like to retire. I don't have a pension, but I will get Social Security. I have $3 million saved for retirement. I am very conservative, but I do have about $600,000 of individual stocks I inherited from my father years ago. I really like when you guys talk about the golden rule of 5% to 10%. I agree that I do not ever want to lose more than 10% of my assets, but all advisors say that I must sell my stocks and invest in mutual funds to decrease my risk. Is there any way I can keep my stocks and have a low overall risk plan?
Well, Jocelyn, the question you're asking is very deep. It's a great question, and we like these kind of questions because a lot of times advisors can't answer these things. But let's say we look at your numbers. You have about $3 million of assets. You have $600,000 of stocks that you have inherited, and those $600,000 of stocks, it might mean a lot to you. It came from your mom, your dad, a brother, someone in your family that passed it on down. And we see this a lot. I'll give you an example that almost fits yours. We had a client that came in with about $3 million of assets, had about $700,000 in stocks, so right about where you're at, and they wanted to keep them. The problem is their brokers kept saying, sell the stocks. Well, what we did for them was we kept all the stocks, we did a risk analysis, and we found out that they had about 40% risk on those stocks. So they ended up having about $300,000 of potential risk on their stocks. Well, on a $3 million portfolio, that means if we don't have any risk on the remainder of their assets, we can now create a 10% overall risk portfolio. We could adhere to the 5 to 10% rule, the golden rule of 5 to 10%. For you, we can keep the stocks. We just have to make sure that the rest of the portfolio does not have any risk and you're home free and you'll be in a really good position. If you have those types of questions, feel free, just call our office. We'll be glad to help you. Thanks, Jocelyn.
Dan, Jim, thanks so much. And a special thank you for Bob, Sue, and Jocelyn. Hey, if you'd like to have your questions answered here on the show, it's so easy. Just go to askpeaknow.com, send those questions in, and we might answer them right here on the show. Hey, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Do you have an extra plan, or do you just receive statements from where your money is invested? Too few retirees and pre-retirees don't have a plan and are not prepared for retirement. A great way to get a clear, written retirement plan is to meet with a full-service retirement planning firm, not just someone who invests your money. If a clear, written retirement plan is something you want, be one of the first 5 callers right now and you'll receive our Peak Retirement Navigator review. Here's what you'll receive from your Peak Retirement Navigator. Number 1, a fee audit exposing your direct and hidden fees inside your portfolio. Number 2, a risk report showing you how much you could lose in a market decline. Number 3, a risk analysis to protect your investment from large stock market losses. And number 4, an income plan showing you how much income you will need in retirement. So don't wait. Call the phone number on the screen right now for your no-cost, no-obligation Peak Retirement Navigator review, which includes your Retirement Survival Toolkit. You have nothing to lose, there is no pressure, there is no risk, and it's free. And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Welcome this week to Peak University. Today we're going to talk about retirement asset allocation for security, growth, and income for life. And it's very important because this was the topic, Jim, that we discussed in depth in our latest new bestseller with Jack Canfield. He's a guy who was the co-creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul, who sold over 500 million copies. He was a co-writer in our book, and it's a bestseller. And in that book, we talk a lot about how retirees should allocate their assets to maximize their success.
Right. And Dan, there's 3 buckets that we really focus on, and there's 2 auxiliary buckets. The 3 main buckets is we have to determine how much income you need for the rest of your life. And you want that income to be maybe income coming off your portfolio, which may be there and it may not be there, or would you like to have an opportunity to have guaranteed income, certain income? So we have to determine that. That's the most important thing to determine before you invest your money any place, is now that you're in retirement, we have to figure out how to generate income that's going to last you your entire life.
Well, the most important thing during retirement is to make sure on a monthly basis you have enough money to spend for your budget, your wants, your needs. If you want to help your kids or your grandkids out, you want to help your charities out, it's income. A lot of times people mistakenly think the most important thing is their asset base, but it's not. It's how much money you have coming in on a monthly basis. You have to pretend like you're still working. Right. And when you worked, what was the most important thing to you? How much money you made.
That's right. It's not how big your portfolio is. That might make you feel good. It's how much income can you generate off those assets that you've saved your entire lifetime. Because what did you save them for in the first place? Not to look at them, so you could use them for income for the rest of your life. So we have to determine in the first phase of income planning, where do you want to put your income to get you the highest guaranteed income stream for the rest of your life.
Yeah, so the goal will be, number 1, figure out how much income you need that's going to make you feel extremely comfortable and not worry about monthly income flow. The second thing you need to do then is decide, and we help you, how much liquidity do you need in the bank for emergencies, for large purchases like cars, for helping the kids out with your grandkids' education, those kinds of things. And then the third is now growth. Now you have to think about what this does. This just threw upside down how you used to view your money when you were young saving for retirement. Your number 1 goal was growth. You really didn't care much about liquidity or income because you're making a salary. Now you have to go income first, liquidity second, and growth third. So if we put your assets together in that type of portfolio, what chance do we have of mitigating a significant amount of risk and then creating an opportunity for a significant amount of income that's going to last for as long as they live.
Well, it does a number of things, Dan. Number one, it educates the consumer on how their assets should be placed. It's no longer about just growth because you're not at that stage of your career or your life. You've saved your entire life so that you could get to a position where you would have income that would last you your remaining life.
Well, what happens if someone puts all their assets, as usually a lot of people are recommended
Right.
by their brokers, in growth, in either mutual funds or stocks, and now they're 65. What happens now when we have one of those next market crashes of 39.5% that's happened every 7 years on average since 1929? What happens to that money that's sitting in that pot?
Well, first of all, Dan, 99% of the people that come in and seek a second opinion from our firm have 90 to 95% of their assets in that red bucket. They're taking tremendous risk with their assets at an unopportune of their life.
But they don't think they are because that 90 or 95% is in this portfolio of all mutual funds, and they've been told mutual funds are far less risky than stocks. So they think in their heart and their mind that everything's fine, they don't have that much risk, but in reality, where are they really at?
It's just a basket of stocks. That's all it is. That's what mutual funds are. So you're taking equal amount of risk. Anytime you buy a security, whether a stock or bond, by law, you have to understand that you could lose all your money. Now, not that you will, and that's not the goal, obviously, but you have to understand you're taking risk with that money, and you have to look at your age, you have to look at what you're trying to achieve with your money, and then decide how to position your money. And if you did that, Dan, would you feel more comfortable as a consumer that you understood what you were doing?
I think I would, and I think most of our clients do, because if we now worry first about how much income you need for as long as you live, and we put a significant amount of money in the top box, which is guaranteed lifetime income, and we use contractually guaranteed insurance products, fixed indexed annuities with income riders, those will allow us to now give you principal protection on those assets without any losses from the stock market, give you income guaranteed for as long as you live, allow you to now capture a potential portion of the gain of the indexing gains you have, not all the gain, but a portion, have income increases that you potentially can receive down the road, and now have significantly lower fees than most assets, typically averaging about 1% totally disclosed. That's a great portion for a part of the assets that we need to produce income for as long as someone needs.
The problem, Dan, is that when you mention annuity, a lot of people have this negative connotation about an annuity, and we understand that because some annuities are not in the client's best interest. But we do use this often if the client is looking on how to generate certain income for the rest of their life, because that's a vehicle that does that.
And then we'll put some money liquid in the bank, and we'll do some growth assets that might have some risk mitigation things, such as stop losses, and that allows us to now put a great portfolio together for someone that will hopefully give them the highest probability to succeed during retirement.
That's right. If you're interested in more information, call the number or go to our website.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Are you worried about taking too much risk, paying high fees, creating dependable monthly income, your money running out? You can stop worrying about your money by meeting with a full-service retirement planning firm, not just someone who invests your money. Call right now to receive your free, no-obligation Peak Retirement Navigator review that includes a total fee audit, a risk stress test showing your potential losses, a retirement income analysis showing how long your money will last, and the steps to create a customized written retirement income plan. Our clients typically have between $1 million to $20 million of assets, but if you've saved at least $500,000 for retirement, we will meet with you free of charge to see if we can possibly help. You'll get free educational copies of Mama's Secret Recipe for Retirement Success we co-wrote with Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul, and our beautiful, inspiring 100 Shades of Financial Freedom. So don't wait. Call the phone number on your screen right now. You have nothing to lose, there's no pressure, there's no risk, and it's free. And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Is Your Retirement in Jeopardy? Gentlemen, are we ready?
Yes. We're ready.
Dan, my first one is for you. One of the most highly regarded and respected designations in the financial industry with requirements to meet education, examination, experience, and ethics standards, including adhering to the Board Code of Ethics and Professional Responsibility and the Financial Planning Practice Standards.
What is a certified financial planner? And you know what? It's amazing. I'm one of those. I'm a certified financial planner. There's not that many across the nation because it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of classes, testing, continuing education, and you have to adhere to all these rules and treat your clients at the highest level. It's very important to understand that when you're working with a firm, you want to make sure there is a certified financial planner as part of that planning team, because then I feel you're going to get the best plan.
Jim? Someone sells you a financial product or manages your assets and does not give you a written plan.
What is unacceptable behavior?
That is correct.
Thank you, thank you. And we see that all the time, obviously, right? We're kidding about this kind of stuff, but we see clients come in every day and they don't have a plan in place. They don't know their risk, they don't know their fees, they don't know where their income's coming from, and more importantly, they worry about running out of income. And then they want to also understand, can they leave money to their children? Without putting that in writing so that somebody becomes accountable for that and the client actually understands it, it's like going through your entire retirement with hope and luck.
Dan, the color chart you see in your statements that have a lot of pretty colors is made up of a bunch of mutual funds, is supposed to be diversified, claim to not have that much risk, holds that mutual funds are safer than stocks, and claims you are only paying 1% in total fees.
What is a beautiful pie chart portfolio?
Correct.
And many people watching right now, that's what they have. The only thing they understand about their money is every month or every quarter, or when they look on the internet, they have this beautiful pie chart. And it's beautiful, has all these wonderful colors. They might have 50 different funds, and all they can think about is why they own 50 funds is to be diversified. And it makes this beautiful pie chart portfolio. The problem is that portfolio, if made up of mutual funds, it could still have a lot of risk. They might have 30 or 40 or 50% risk the next time we have a market crash. They could be paying 3% or more in total fees. They can't really take a high level of income off of that's going to be guaranteed to last for as long as they live. So it's really not beautiful in reality, but it does look really pretty on your paper.
Thanks, guys. Hey, is your retirement in jeopardy? Maybe it's time to pick up the phone and give us a call in the office or go to our website. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Do you have an extra plan, or do you just receive statements from where your money is invested? Too few retirees and pre-retirees don't have a plan and are not prepared for retirement. A great way to get a clear, written retirement plan is to meet with a full-service retirement planning firm, not just someone who invests your money. If a clear, written retirement plan is something you want, be one of the first 5 callers right now and you'll receive our Peak Retirement Navigator review. Here's what you'll receive from your Peak Retirement Navigator. Number 1, a fee audit exposing your direct and hidden fees inside your portfolio. Number 2, a risk report showing you how much you could lose in a market decline. Number 3, a risk analysis to protect your investment from large stock market losses. And number 4, an income plan showing you how much income you will need in retirement. So don't wait. Call the phone number on the screen right now for your no-cost, no-obligation Peak Retirement Navigator review, which includes your Retirement Survival Toolkit. You have nothing to lose, there is no pressure, there is no risk, and it's free. And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
You're watching the Peak Financial Freedom Show with Jim and Dan, Sacramento's retirement television.
Hey guys, great show this week. Thanks so much for tuning in.
If you have any questions or need any help at all, feel free to give us a call at our office or go to our website.
And remember, at Peak Financial Freedom Group, we fix your money.
The preceding program is sponsored by Peak Financial Freedom Group.